Welcome to the Christian Romance Podcast, where we go behind the books with inspiring Christian romance authors, exploring faith, love, and the journey that brings the story to life. I'm your host, Kelly Jo Wilson, and today we're chatting with Hope Toler Dougherty. Hope is a Christian romance author with a master's degree in English and a background in teaching at East Carolina University and York Technical College. Her novels include Irish Encounter, Mars with Venus Rising, Rescued Hearts, and the Forever series. Through faith-filled storytelling, Hope writes heartfelt romances that celebrate second chances and God's unexpected plans. Be sure to stay tuned to the end of the episode so you can hear more about our newest book giveaway for this month. Now, here's my conversation with Hope. Hi, Hope. I am so happy to have you on the Christian Romance Podcast today. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, I'm happy to be here too. Thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm excited to have you. I can't wait to hear about your author journey and then, of course, about this wonderful book, Forever Free. But why don't you let our listeners know a little bit more about you? Let them know how you got started into writing and just what your author journey looked like.
Okay. I was an English major in college, so I always loved reading. Always was interested in writing. Didn't think I could. I tried to write fiction, and it just didn't work out. I could get a scene, but that was it. Or I could come up with an idea, but couldn't flesh it out. So I basically just focused on writing newspaper, not journalism, not a reporter, so to speak, but just nonfiction, things like that, essays. And then we have 4 children. And our first daughter was getting ready to graduate high school in 2009. And I was staying at home, helping, run the house. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to work myself out of a job here because the other 3 will be following in her footsteps. So I really need to start thinking about what I want to do. And I did teach. I taught English on a college level for a few years, but I didn't want to go back to that. I enjoyed some aspects, not all of the aspects of teaching. And so I thought maybe I should start writing. So I had an idea that I wanted to write and send something to Guideposts magazine. Are you familiar with Guideposts?
Yeah, for sure.
So I started, I had an idea about what I was going to write. And then immediately I started daydreaming about Ireland. We had just taken a home exchange to Ireland the year before. And I just started thinking about when we were there and what was happening. And all of a sudden I saw someone sitting at a table in an Irish cafe, and she was writing in a journal. And then this little old man, Irish man, came up to her. I could see everything clearly. His vest, tweed vest with wooden buttons. He was clutching an Irish cap, and they started talking, and I started hearing everything they were saying. And it was the coolest thing. But all of a sudden, I could see to her left, there was someone else in the scene, and he was eavesdropping. And he was sitting there with these clothes, like a safari. He had come off the safari, and I knew that they were in Ireland. So that was intriguing. And the fact that he was listening to their conversation. And I didn't even have a laptop at that time. I had a yellow pad. I turned over the first page that I had kind of scribbled something on my original idea, and I started writing that scene, everything I saw, everything I heard, and it was just so much fun. And the children came home from school. I had to be mom again. I couldn't wait until the next morning when I went back to those characters. I already loved those characters. And I started at that moment, I was petrified that, okay, here would be another scene that I couldn't do anything with. So I started praying. I had just finished up a whole year's study on Moses. I don't know if anybody's familiar with Bible Study Fellowship. That's an ecumenical and international Bible study. So I had finished up that. So I remembered when God called Moses to lead the people out of Egypt, he kept saying, I can't, I don't know how, all those things. So he was saying, help me, God, lead me, put the words in my mouth. So truly, every day that week, I started writing. I would pray Moses's prayers, and then we get started. And that scene that I saw, Ellen was the character. That scene with Ellen in the little cafe became an early scene in my first novel, Irish Encounter. So I always say that God used Irish Encounter to invite me onto the fiction path because I was not seeking it. I didn't think I could do it. So anyway.
Oh, I love that. Oh my gosh. And what a vivid scene, right? Like it's not like a simple thing, like just an idea floating in. It was like, seems like it was very vivid
It
and
was.
extremely detailed. Like this
Mhm.
was meant to be written.
That's how I felt. I was excited to get it down. I could see it. It didn't even feel like work at that time. It just felt fun.
Yeah. It is fun. It really is fun. It's so funny, Hope, because it can be kind of jarring, like when you're in that nonfiction frame of mind, because it is so different. Although some nonfiction books do, I mean, there's definitely principles that with writing fiction, right? So keep it like how to tell a story, the art of storytelling and things
Yes.
like that to keep people engaged, but it just is so different. It's just a different message, right? So nonfiction is usually like a how-to or a biography or something like that, especially articles. But then to jump into a fiction space and or I wouldn't even say jump in, to be kind of thrust in like you were.
You
That can
pulled me
be
into it.
yeah, totally. It can be jarring so much. A very similar thing happened to me too. I was all ready to send a nonfiction book. I was totally nonfiction and I was ready to send a book to an editor. I was like ready to get it ready to send to an editor. And God was like very clear, like, no, I want you to write stories to broken women about brokenness. And that's kind of how this all blossomed and it came to fruition, because I mean, if you're not listening to him and not following him, what am I going to do? It's just going to make a big mess. So,
Yeah.
yeah, but I was like, how am I supposed to do that? So I love that you said that you were just studying Moses because he really did feel so inadequate. He couldn't, I think was he illiterate? Like he couldn't read or he couldn't speak well. He was like worried about how he could speak. And
Mhm.
I love that. It's so fitting to say, like, you're just to show your dependence on him. Like, please give me the words, help me through this because you're calling me
Mhm.
into this craziness.
Yes,
Um,
exactly.
yeah, that's so, oh, yeah, that's wonderful. And how encouraging is that, too, to know like Moses was, I mean, he's such an iconic Bible person of the Bible, right? Like, he did
Mhm.
so many amazing things, or God did through him,
Yes.
but to know like he felt so inadequate the whole time. you know
Right,
it just
exactly.
is so it just is what God can do through us.
Mhm.
So that book sounds amazing. Irish Encounter, that's so funny because it sounds like what you had. It sounds like exactly what you had.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Mhm.
Oh, that's fun. What about so that book, how did that kind of pull you, like how did that journey go just with that first book?
Well, that's interesting. Like I said, I had a yellow pad, and I'd write on the yellow pad, and then I'd come down to our kitchen. We had two computers right off the kitchen, like you're supposed to, with your high school people, way back then. Now people have laptops, but um, I would transfer the longhand into a Word document. And I never called it a book. I would say, Mommy's project. I'm working on a writing project. My children would say, oh, Mommy's book. They called it Mommy's book. And then my husband, who loves to push me out of my rut and safe space, um, he said, what are you going to do with this? And I said, what do you mean? He said, you're spending so much time, so much effort. What are you going to do with this? And at that point, I had already found a book called How to Write the Christian Romance. Um, and her name is escaping me right now. But I bought it. I was embarrassed even to buy it because I thought I don't want anybody to know I'm doing this. But in the back of that book, the author gave at least two writing conferences, and one was ACFW, American Christian Fiction Writers, but then also Blue Ridge Mountain Christian Writers Conference. And that is in Asheville every year in May. And it's about 4 hours from where we live. And my husband kept pushing. And I said, well, actually, there is this conference, and it takes place in Asheville. But it starts on Sunday and it goes to Thursday. He said, oh, yeah, want to go? You'll be great. And I said, I can't go. I'm the home mom. I have to take the flute when they forget it and lunch. We can handle it. He said, we can do it. We can do it. So he made me go.
Aww.
And I was so scared the whole time. But that's where I started meeting other writers, the agents, the publishers, the editors, everybody in the business, and really realize that writing is a business. We're not up in the garret like Emily Dickinson anymore. We have to get out and meet people and market, all that stuff. But that's how it started. So in 2010, that was the first year I went to Blue Ridge in Asheville and really started the path that I got into a small writing group, and we met for about a year, once a month. So that was good for me as well.
Oh yeah. And it also like kind of validates this, right? Like how you were even like calling it a project, not even a book yet, and your family
Yes.
was, but it like validates
Yes.
once you see like, well, what is this? I'm just following this call. I'm following this vision. I'm following this call. I'm praying for God to guide me. And then
Having fun. I
yeah,
was
having
having fun.
fun. Yeah. And it is fun. It is a lot of work, but it
Mhm.
is fun. And it's fun to co-create alongside God, especially because he's like the master. I've been saying Jesus is like the king of plot twists, right? Like he's like so he sets you think it's going to go one way and then it goes the other way and you're like, "Oh, of course, it makes sense. Of course, it should be like this." But I love that you got around other people doing it because, at first, it's so scary. And you're like, I don't even know what this thing is. But I love so much that your husband pushed you because that's such a blessing. I love that about him.
It
And
is
that
a blessing. And
yes.
I absolutely know that not everybody has that blessing and they
Yeah.
don't have a supportive family. So, and especially if you don't have that, you really need other writers in your life
Mm-hmm.
who get you, who understand that. But I am very blessed. I'm so thankful that my husband is so supportive and so excited. He's so proud of me. He talks more about my writing than I do sometimes because I hate the marketing part. So,
I know the marketing part's hard, but it is, when you look at it like, I try to look at it like people don't know. This is a wonderful story, right? And God has guided this whole thing. So he really wants this story to get out. So you're just kind
right.
of that's just part of doing the work is trying your
Mhm.
best to get the word out to exactly who he needs it to go to.
Yes.
But it is hard. It is hard. But that's why, we love podcasts because then we can reach people and
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
talk. You're in North
Exactly.
Carolina. I'm outside of Pittsburgh, and we
Yeah.
can have a good chat about your story and about
Right.
your books. Um,
Mhm.
now, the Blue Ridge Mountain Conference, are they still doing that? I was curious about that
Yes.
for being in Asheville because of the damage from the flooding
The
and
hurricane,
everything.
right.
You guys
Mhm.
didn't get any of that damage, did you?
We just got rain down
Oh,
here,
okay.
but they're still devastated in the mountains. It's terrible.
Oh, yeah.
But the Ridgecrest is the center, the retreat center, and they're up and running. They're fine. But we were up, it's just down the road from Billy Graham's The Cove,
Oh.
if you've heard. So we were up there at another retreat last month, and the damage is still, you can see the watermarks,
Hmm.
and the trees that are left. But Ridgecrest is good, and yes, they are having it. Now they've moved it to the end of May, Memorial Day Sunday through that Thursday every year.
Well, that's good. I'm glad that they're still able to keep that going because my goodness,
Yes.
we were just my husband and my husband even more so. Like I'm a nurse. I am a medical writer
Hmm.
now during the day, but so I already like have that like I gotta go help people, like I gotta go. But my husband, he's like kind of a techie. He's worked in telecom forever, and he's just so smart. He's like the smartest person I know, and he's just like following the story of all these people and certain people like through TikTok documenting their experiences with the flooding and everything in Asheville, which is so crazy to even think about because it's on a mountain. You would never
Exactly.
think that the flooding would
Mm-mm.
even ever happen there. And
Mm-mm.
I was surprised because he was like, "Oh my gosh, Cal, I feel like we should go. I feel like we should go." Like he was like feeling this call,
Mm-mm.
and I'm like, "Well, if you're really feeling like that, then we're gonna have to pack up, like we're just gonna have to
Mm-mm.
go." And he's like, "I don't know, I don't know." I said, "You gotta pray about that, babe, because if it's on your heart, then we should." Because it just it was so devastating, and it's
Mhm.
just gonna take so much time to rebuild.
For sure.
Yeah. So I'm glad that you guys weren't in the thick of that. But, and
Mm-mm.
then there is, rebuilding going on and they're still able to have the conference too.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Especially over there is such a beautiful place. North Carolina,
Mhm.
South Carolina, just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful places. But yes, so let's talk about, I can't wait to hear about this Forever Free. I want to talk about
Mhm.
Phoebe and Heath. Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah.
So tell us about this wonderful book.
Okay. Thank you. Forever Free is the last in the series, the Forever series. And when I was trying to decide what to write next a few years ago, I thought, well, readers like series. So, and I thought, I have 4 children. Maybe I'll write about 4 siblings.
Oh,
So we have 2 boys, we have twin boys and 2 girls. But in the Forever series, the Daniels siblings are 3 older brothers, and the youngest is a sister. And when I was writing, I didn't know what I was doing about a series. I didn't know that you really need to have the plan. I just wrote. And so I really thought somebody along the way, an agent or editor, somebody would say, Hope, you really don't need this 4th person. Just focus on these 3. But nobody ever did. And when it came to be Heath's time, I really didn't know him very well. He was always sort of on the perimeter. Sort of, he'd say a few things, but he wasn't in the thick of the family get-togethers. And so when I started thinking about him, I realized one reason that he was like that is because he sort of feels less than. It's a very high achieving clan, and he had dropped out of college. He's had a run through addiction
hmm.
because of a tragedy that happened early in college, and so he just felt like, as I said, he's less than the rest of them. He doesn't have a college degree yet. His siblings do, and they're all sort of into their life's work, and he's still figuring it out after having rehab and all of that. So I wanted to explore that. And he really thinks that he is going to be single the rest of his life. He thinks that is his call on his life. And I was intrigued by that because I think singleness is a gift. The Bible talks about singleness is a gift from God. I'm not sure that a lot of churches follow that teaching a lot. I have a dear friend who lost her husband when she was in her 50s, and she talks about her experiences in churches, sort of feeling left out. She says, there are lots of programs for children and families and that kind of thing, but especially single adults, whether they're never married or divorced or widowed, sometimes it seems that churches don't know what to do with them.
Hmm.
So I was exploring that kind of thing, but I write romance. So there's that point. But so he has to come to that. He has to let go of what wrong thinking, basically. So that's where he is. And then Phoebe wants to make a go of her grandfather's farm. And I am living on my great grandfather's farm.
Huh.
I come from a long line of farmers, and so I'm very appreciative of what farmers do for us and the agricultural piece in our lives, how important it is. So I really wanted to explore that. So I came up with the idea of the cut flower farm. We have North Carolina has a lot of cut flower farms. You can either go there, cut your own, or subscribe to getting a bouquet of flowers a weekly or whatever you subscribe to. And we have a long growing season in North Carolina. I had we had paid for my mom to get this subscription service. Unfortunately, she passed away before it started.
Oh.
So I was a recipient. So from February until November, that's a long time to get flowers every week. Anyway, so that was another reason. I was like, oh, this is cool. This idea of flowers coming to your door and the farm and the singleness going on. So that's kind of the background for that story.
Oh, that sounds beautiful.
Yeah.
What a neat idea to do like with the flower farms. And then you have like a
Mhm.
subscription. So is it like bouquets just delivered every week or and you can set it up to have like different frequency if you want?
It depends on the farm, but yes, you got mine came every week and whatever was blooming that week. So especially in the middle of the summer, I get these huge bouquets. Probably make three for the bouquets in the house, but they come in a bucket. So
Oh my gosh, that is just beautiful, especially because flowers, first of all, they just brighten your day. I feel like you have like, especially from a farm, we have right across the street from us in about across the street from us sounds funny because it's like 25 acres, but like across the street, my neighbor, they have a farm and she does that. She has flowers and they also do, she'll invite photographers to come and do like
yes.
use their land and all of that, which I think is a
Mhm.
beautiful idea. It's so clever because it's just this gorgeous farm. I can't, and then you live on your grandfather's farm too. Oh my gosh,
Yes.
that is the
We
coolest
built
thing.
it is. I'm grateful to be here. Now, in Phoebe's farm, she doesn't have a lot of sometimes the farms will be a venue for weddings and things like that, but she is a former teacher, so she likes the educational process
Mm.
or point of it. She has canning classes and flower arranging classes, that kind of thing. And she also invites like you said, photographers to come for seniors in high school or engagement portraits, things like that.
Oh,
So
that's
that's what
really
she
neat.
does.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's really, really neat. I love that. And I love it. I might have to pick your brain because my book too is actually on a farm. It is
Oh, okay.
it's
Yay.
farmers, it's brothers, and they run this dairy farm, but they also have some like agriculture. They said they have some
Uh-huh.
veggies and stuff too, but it's a dairy farm.
Yeah.
Um, but that is so funny. Do you ever get people like want to come up and visit? Like, what kind of farm are you living on? And I want to get back to the book too, but I'm curious about your farm.
Okay. We've had sweet potatoes because sweet potatoes in North Carolina is a big sweet potato producer. We just changed farmers because my husband isn't a farmer, and we lease it out. And I believe they are going to grow sunflowers in two of the fields that they've got. So I'm excited about that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but we have soybeans also. So
That's awesome. That is awesome.
yeah.
Sunflowers are kind of tough to grow. At least they were for me in my they need a lot of sun. I mean, they
Yeah,
weren't
what we
getting
have
they weren't
it.
getting as much sun out here, but sunflowers are just so gorgeous. Uh like that sunflower field, especially for like, if you ever invite any photographers up and stuff. Oh my gosh, that
Right.
would be just beautiful. So Phoebe has this, she wants to do this farm, and then there's Heath. I love Heath already, right? I already
Mhm,
am like rooting for him, just knowing
mhm,
like feeling like that because I feel like that'll resonate with so many people, that feeling
mhm,
that less than, especially in contrast to a high achieving siblings, right? I feel like that's
mhm,
more
yeah,
common than not.
mhm,
And people really feel like that. I actually just talked with another author who um kind of felt like that with her siblings because and she was a pastor daughter.
oh,
So she, it's a very common thing, and and we know Satan gets in our heads and he just starts
yeah,
to multiply that thought just so that we,
yes,
beat ourselves down and get far away from God. So I'm
mhm.
curious, like how so obviously no spoilers, but I love that he thinks he's going to be single all the time. So it adds that extra layer of like tension because he's like,
Hmm.
no, I'm going to be single. But how do they kind of
Yes.
cross paths?
And this came out of research. I have a friend who is a master gardener, and we are just chatting about different things, and she casually mentioned this Helping Hands. It's a rehab place,
Oh,
and it's an actual. I mean, I made it fictionalized in my story, but out of Raleigh, there is this group, and you go and they have an agricultural piece. But when you're coming out of rehab, it helps you. Helping hands, you're actually doing something, you're going and working, and he has that piece. He's interested in agriculture already, so he was happy to work there. She needs it. She lives with her grandfather, so they need help,
hmm.
and she had signed up through this Helping Hands rehab place, for an extra pair of hands, and Heath is the one who shows up
I
to
love
help
that.
that. That's how they get together.
I love it. I love it so much because it's also so interesting that they need each other before they even meet, really, before they
Yes,
even really get to
yes.
know each other. So it's really, really neat. And that sounds, I mean, it just sounds so amazing. I've seen that before with, I thought that was available with farms, like how you said, the Helping Hands thing with rehab, but I have also
Mhm.
seen like those rehabilitation programs for dogs and
Right.
people as well, like dog
Mhm.
rescue places and other people that are battling addiction or rehabilitation for I don't want to say prisoners, but I guess people who have like been in jail in the past and they
Mhm.
want
Mhm.
to try to kind of rehabilitate them and stuff,
Yes.
which I just think is just absolutely wonderful, just wonderful.
Mhm. Mhm.
What a neat concept. I can't wait to read this. I'm so in, especially with Phoebe with her farm. So what tropes, obviously with the romance podcast, so what tropes can we expect that are, like forced proximity, obviously, for that? What are some of the tropes that we can look forward to in the book?
Well, they had a little run um, in Forever Home, which is the book that comes before this one, at a wedding. She was helping with the flowers, and he kind of ticked her off, to be honest. And so they had that. So when they see each other, when he shows up at the farm, he's like, "Oh, this isn't going to work," and she's thinking, "Oh no," and he wants to change, but there is no other place for him right now. But he has to change. I mean, he has to have some, because he can feel himself beginning to think about his old path, that kind of thing. Thinking about being single is one thing when it's out in the future, but all the siblings are coupling up now, and he's realizing, oh, my future is going to be single, and they're going to be all lovey-dovey around me. And so that's why he really needs something else in his life to focus on. And that's why it's imperative that he still has to work at this farm, even though he doesn't like this woman Phoebe, and
Yeah, yeah.
she doesn't like him either, but she needs the hands.
Oh, absolutely. I love that. Like an enemies to lovers kind of thing or enemies to
Kind of,
more.
yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I love that.
Hmm.
Even like the initial like not liking each other. I actually wrote a novella that had that too. I love that. That tension and that like banter is
I
real
do
fun
too. Hmm.
to do and to read. So that's really fun too. And it definitely sounds like a second chances kind of thing too, because both of them, well, really Heath especially is like looking for a second chance at kind of making himself and trying to rehabilitate and stuff too, which is always encouraging.
Yes. Yes. Hmm.
Well, that's awesome. One thing I did want to say, I love how you mentioned about how sometimes churches fail to really minister to singleness or at least just highlight it, which it's so funny that you say that because I just this past couple weeks my church has been the pastor's been talking about healthy sexuality and what it says in the Bible about that, and where it
Hmm.
says like
Hmm.
Paul is teaching, we were reading, I want to say in Romans, I should know, but Paul says it's best to be single so you can focus on your relationship with God. But if you're going to burn with passion, then you should marry versus like
Mhm.
burning with passion as a single person for multiple people. But it is important to know that because it's okay. I feel like it, people being single, it's okay if you're single. If you focus on your relationship with God, with Jesus, your
Mhm.
daily walk with him, and that's okay
Yes.
too.
Yes.
And your life can be really fulfilled that way.
Mhm.
But also, like in marriage, like you said, I feel like, yeah, it's the world has a very different view of dating and
Yes.
marriage. And
Oh, yes.
yes.
I grew up with my parents who were high school sweethearts, and
Oh,
then I didn't really date a lot in high school, and then I didn't date a lot in college. So I kind of thought, I mean, I was calling myself a single sophisticate because, I don't want to, the other terms aren't that interesting to if you aren't married, and so I really thought that for a long time, like, okay, maybe I'm not going to be married. And then we have 4 children, like I said, and they have focused a lot on um their jobs, um and we do have a couple of plus ones now, so maybe we're going to have a new chapter here. But they also talk to me about, adult youth group kind of thing at their churches, kind of in a teasing way. So I really do feel strongly that uh, maybe churches could explore this
oh yeah,
for
for sure.
adult singles. Yeah.
And yeah, and help them to have like the right outlook on it, and in a sense, not
Yes.
like to be, but the right outlook meaning like, they are just as precious as they don't have to be something that they feel that
Right.
they're not, kind of thing, or like
Exactly.
meet some weird expectation. It's also funny that we're talking about this because I just saw I'm on, like, I don't look at social media very often, but when I do, like on some TikTok reels or things like that, I'm on like the Christian talk side of TikTok. So I'm like really happy about that. And books, Christian and books, And there's this wonderful street minister. His name is Bryce, and he was talking. I guess he was being interviewed on a podcast, and it's so weird that we're talking about this. See, now this is God just working because it's so weird. I've never seen anything about this, and now like with church, and then it's like it was meant to be. Hope, uh,
Mhm.
but with Bryce, what he was saying, he's like, it's so crazy that there's nothing about dating in the Bible. And the
Mhm.
guy who he was talking to, I forget who it was, said dating is a world thing. Dating is something that was also very new, just like in the past 120 years, that dating was really even a thing. Because before it
Mhm.
was like, your relationship with God, or your relationship, your position in your family, things like that. So I thought that
Oh.
was really interesting to think
Mhm.
about. I didn't look that up, but in the comments, somebody looked it up, like the 120 years, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, this is so true." So yeah, I mean, I just thought it's interesting to think about that because it's such a big impact on our lives today, right? And our
Yes.
identities. So
Mhm.
yeah, very, very true. And I agree with you. I think it's a very important thing to explore with churches for sure.
Mhm. Mhm.
We are almost at time, Hope. But before we go, I just wanted to ask you if there are, especially because you've had experience with church ministries as well. And, given that this sounds like there's some deep themes in this book, especially with Heath, finding his identity and essentially both of them and working together. Was there any Bible verse that really guided you in writing this, or even just in your journey as an author?
Um, I really don't have a life verse because there's so many that I resonate with, but one that I love, Ephesians 3:20. God is able to do immeasurably more than we can ask or imagine. And for me, it runs true in my writing. He always surprises me, and just gives me wonderful gifts in that writing that I'm not expecting. But also in life, just always surprises me and treats me so lovingly. That's one reason I like that. Ephesians 3:20. He does more. We can think one thing, but he can outdo us all the time.
Oh yeah, that's wonderful. What a wonderful encouraging verse because it's so true. And we forget about
Mhm.
that, right? We think in this like box, but God doesn't fit in the box. He's like
Exactly.
he'll do
Exactly.
things that you just cannot explain too, you know?
Right. Oh.
It's amazing. And it's important to, you know what I started doing because I have to like document so that I can go back and like reference on like
Yeah.
difficult times, you know? So I like try to document. I have this thing called a motivation folder and I'll like, and just daily writing and try to document like, you know, we prayed for this, but God did this, right? Like
Yes.
because it's important. It's important to remind yourself that He is working your life like right now. And,
Mhm.
yes, so true. And I could totally see that impacting you, especially when you're like, I have no idea what you're giving me this vision. Help me do this, you know, like with Moses,
Mhm.
help me write this. And that's wonderful. And I'm so happy that you followed your call. This sounds like a beautiful story. And I'm sure that your
Thank
readers
you.
are very happy as well.
Thank you.
Yes, for
Yes.
sure. Thank you so much for being here, Hope. It's been such a pleasure to talk with you. Before we go, where can readers connect with you and where can they get this wonderful book forever free?
Um, it's it's on Amazon if you want it. It's easy to find. I have a website, Hope Toler Dougherty .com all together. I'm on Instagram and Facebook. I have a readers page on Facebook, but I'm out there. I'm on Twitter or X, but I really don't do anything there. And Goodreads and BookBub. I mean, I've got all those sites too, but I will post every now and then on Instagram and Facebook.
Yes, yes, that's how I feel too. Although I have been engaging with it more just because of the podcast, because there's a lot of
Yeah,
readers and authors too, and the authors have their
right.
like readers on there. But yeah, that's wonderful. I will have those links in the show notes. So scroll down and where you can get a copy of Hope's book and also connect with her. And just thank you so much, Hope, for being here today. And thank you for doing what you do. Thank you for listening to that wonderful call and vision that God has given you. And I just am so excited to go and read this wonderful book.
Well, thank you so much, Kelly. I had a fun time talking with you, and I appreciate that you gave me the opportunity to talk about books today.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please share it with a friend, especially because we're celebrating Christmas in July all month long here on the podcast. To add a little extra cheer to your summer, I've teamed up with some fabulous Christian romance authors for a special giveaway featuring 5 heartwarming holiday reads, full of castles, cozy cabins, swoony heroes, and a whole lot of Christmas magic. Whether you're listening right when the episode drops or tuning in later, you can always enter the latest giveaway at christianromancepodcast.com. One winner will take home all 5 books. Just our little way of making your July a bit more merry and bright. Thanks so much for listening. Until next time, keep your faith, share the love, and happy reading.